Hey, welcome everyone. Today I am super excited to continue our 3-day challenge with a surprise bonus fourth day. So, this has been a bonanza of value for small business growth, for personal brand development. And today is not going to disappoint because we have with you a very special guest, and this was a surprise. But I think it ties into what we're doing here with trying to help you build your personal brand, build your business, give you the skills you need to succeed in the online world, which we live in today. Ever since COVID, I can imagine many of you have felt this that we've become much more digital. We had to go into all these Zoom calls. A lot of people had to force themselves to get on video who are very camera shy, or pre COVID, where it wasn't necessary, it became necessary. And so it's never been more important for us to learn on camera presentation skills, on mic presentation skills, and really just become familiar and comfortable on the camera. So today I'm super excited to present to you our fourth speaker of the 3x3 Business Growth Challenge, Rich Trigger Bontrager.
Woo! Welcome back. See, producing all week for you last week. Now I get to jump on camera and have fun with you here. You did a great job last week, by the way. Wonderful time.
It was great, and thanks to you. So if anyone wants to understand what it takes to produce a professional show, on camera and behind the camera, it's working as a team, isn't it?
Oh, it's all about teamwork. And that's one of the things I stress when I talk about all this is who's ever on camera, you need to make sure you have a good producer, a good writer. You need to have a good team behind you because you need to be here 100%. And one of the biggest reasons people stumble is they're not 100% here. They're everywhere else. And the team on your background makes you succeed on camera. That's a huge thing right there.
That is so true. And I mean, I'm excited to speak to you today because I had to fumble and stumble through all of these things myself. And I definitely, hey, Justin, I definitely felt the pain of trying to figure it out. And so, but first, before we go into tips and tricks and what we should do, what we shouldn't do, I just want to talk a little bit about who needs to know these kind of skills, like media skills, on video presentation skills, because a lot of people I speak to tell me, "Oh, why would I need that? That doesn't apply to me." And I'm thinking, don't they see that that's exactly important for them? Does that ever happen to you where people are like, "Oh no, that's not a service that would ever be
It
needed
happens
in
all the
my world."
time because people do not understand. And you set it up well in the introduction. COVID hit and everyone went on camera. Now, you also said there's some people that want to be on camera and some that do not, but everyone is forced on camera to do business, to do life, to do everything. But then they got realizing this is work, this is energy. I really don't want to get all prettied up, and I don't want to have a studio, and I don't want to have. It became something that people began to hate. But the fact is, the world changed. We are never going back to fully in person, and businesses and leaders have learned leveraging media is now the biggest game changer. It used to be when I was growing up, being on TV, doing a TV commercial, running an audio ad was too expensive for most companies. Every CEO, every small business, every tire shop in America needs to find a way to get on camera and start leveraging media, whether it's shorts, whether it's longs, whether it's talk shows, whether it's a streaming show like we do. This is now free access that you used to pay big money for, and you get greater results because you're running the show now.
Actually, just before I came on this show, I have a guilty confession. Instead of prepping for the show, I was watching an analysis of the new Alex Hormozy uh, editing style, where he announced a few weeks ago that he's going away from shorts, like over edited shorts with a lot of B-roll and cuts. And he wants to go into only long form educational interviews and content, nicely produced, but with not a lot of cuts in between, just 30, 40 minutes just talking with a
Yeah.
mic in front of him, with a backdrop like we have today. And for a lot of people, that was a shock because they're thinking, well, all these fancy TikTok style videos are great. But what he said is so true. He's like, that's not how you nurture the right customers. So you can get a lot of people who come for the free popcorn, but these long form shows like you are producing, Rich, that's the way to go. I'm telling this as a marketer, as a business coach, as someone whose whole business is around helping others grow. So it's super important for us to, um, like you said, to shift our mindset from saying, I don't need to be camera ready to everyone needs to be camera ready.
Everyone needs to be camera ready. And that's where it's a game changer. But even with the shorts, and the shorts have changed the impact of media because most people, again, I had calls today. People were asking me, what's a short? Why do I need a short? Let me just do my darn video and be done with it. The shorts is your movie trailer. It's your teaser. It's your weekly episode. Every NCIS, every FBI, every whatever show you watch, every week has a new teaser episode because people want to know what's coming. You don't want to lose your audience. So those shorts, you need to think about, that's your commercial. That's your movie trailer to bring them to the big event. If you're not doing that, you don't have the lead magnet, you don't have the energy to flow in. Now, one of the interesting trends is people have gone to very authentic. They don't want the overproduced like you were describing. Then there's people like me that like to still play with the gadgets and the gizmos. So the world is sifting out. Will there be overproduced, more TV-esque, and will there be more of the, hi, I'm Bob, come and join me this week type of shorts? And people like both now because that's where the creative sides come in. You don't have to do Hollywood. You can do it your style, your way, because it's your show, it's your brand. You're not paying for studio time. This is where you're going to make it your unique entity, but that's where now you need to learn how to come alive and make it your own thing. And that's where the training comes in. That's where the user experience come in, because most people have an idea, but they don't know how to bring it alive here. Because when the camera goes on, people still freeze up, get really stiff, and become very boring because they're thinking about their idea. They're not thinking about performance and show and energy.
Well, that can lead us into into that, but I think talking about who needs this, just to wrap this up,
Yeah.
it would be great if we could showcase like a couple different scenarios where video can really help someone grow their business. Because I think that even if we're talking about using video, I've had people say, look, I'm an engineer. We engineers, we don't go on camera. Or, I'm a SaaS CEO. Like my software, you go on the website, you buy it. I don't need to be on camera. You're not buying me. So even saying that, it's important to figure out like how this could apply to different types of businesses.
Yeah. Well, and again, that's true. Most people think they're not buying me, but think of the old phrase. We've all heard it. They buy because of know, like, and trust. There's a billion different car shops out there, but why do they come to you? Usually it's because the service person is amazing. They love the service person. You can now buy your car online through a click of a button and scanning it through Amazon. But there's not the personal touch. So why do you need to do this is people still want to know, like, and trust. They will go to you and skip Amazon or whatever other thing they're doing because they know you. Krista, the car salesman, is fabulous. You're fun. You're engaging. And if you can bring that alive here, you'll hold people no matter where you're located. Now, more and more of us have shut down. Brick and mortar is collapsing. We just heard about Red Lobster is closing. I mean, Barnes and Nobles is closing. All these brick and mortar shops are closing, but they're still online selling the same products in somewhere. Why not bring your face alive and have that great host, that great personality? Talk about your specials of the week. Talk about the new selection you've got coming in. What's the new books that were coming in, the new authors? You just need to pivot from brick and mortar because your interface was always there, and you need to bring the same thing here because they're still looking for your same products. That's a radical shift
So
in most
true.
people, but this is your new doorway.
Well, speaking of that, I also want to add a perspective from my marketing research. Of course, I as a CMO, I'm trying to follow the trends and be the go-to advisor for my clients to tell them what's shifting, how things are going. And one of the trends that I have 100% seen really here to stay is the way that people buy.
Mm.
You talked about the know, like, and trust factor.
Yeah.
So traditionally, we did this with a handshake. We did this over
Yes.
coffee. Like, think about real estate agents. They're always standing there in the house, ready to talk about the house, wine and dine you, uh, visit, and the same with the car salesman. But what we're seeing now is a trend towards people consuming passively your content and lurking on your content for a certain amount of time. And somehow they feel like they know you
Right.
and they're
Yes.
like, well, oh, I know you. And they treat you almost like a friend, like even though they've never met you. And a lot of times these people will buy with one click on your website or one email that you send out or one Instagram announcement that says, I've got 10 spots available. They're going to sell out.
Yes.
And so that's a difference in buying where you're having people aren't maybe as, especially younger people, they don't want to book discovery calls as much. They don't want to have to go out of their way to say, "Hi, I need help. My name is Krista and I have a problem." What they'd rather do is at 2 a.m. listen to some video on YouTube, click on the link, book the service, and then show up for the session or take the course because it's kind of like a shyness that's developed with younger people. I think it's due to the screen time that people have or something.
So I'll disagree with you on that for one big reason: the know, like, and trust factor. People are curious about you, not just the product. And I'll tell you about this because authors are talking about their book, they're talking about their book, and they're talking about their book. More people want to know who the author is. What's their background? What's their story? So yes, they'll buy the book, but they're really wanting to get to know the author. So the more the author learns how to talk about them, their story, their background, the creative juices that created, the more they want access. And that's what we're giving them now. We're giving them access to you. And when they get the access, they do want the discovery card. They do want to be in your mastermind group. They do want to be in those other things because it's access to you where now you're global. After the pandemic, I worked with several companies that intentionally said, we're done with Zoom. We're done. We're going back to all in person. And I stopped. I said, please don't. You've now reached a global audience. You have opened up to places you never, ever could get in. And the price, like I said at the beginning of the show, the price is 1/10 of it. You just need to know how to raise your presentation, raise what you do on camera. You need to raise the level because the international audience is waiting for you now. If you shut that down, it's like canceling their subscription, your membership to their favorite TV show. So we need to get those calls. We need to get those because they're interested in you, not just the
So
product you sell.
so what I'm seeing is that I don't think we disagree because what you said is exactly what I'm teaching my clients to do, which is to build their personal brands, meaning tell your stories. And but what I'm observing is that they're doing all this via their LinkedIn personal brand, putting out posts, via a podcast where they're vulnerable and talk about their failures. And then the person already feels like they know and like them and they'll buy from them. That's what I'm saying. So it's a different way of selling to people.
Right. Well, and one of the things I do is I don't sell from this stage. When I'm in person, I do not sell. I will mention I have services, I have products, you can talk to me, but I do not hard sell. And the reason is I want them to be so curious about the topic. I want them to be educated and inspired. And then I want them to also say, I want to talk to you in the back of the room. I want to book a one-on-one call with you. And so the curiosity of the relationship. And that was one thing we found out early during the pandemic. People said this would not be relationship. When in fact, they found out this is way more intimate, way more powerful. Why do we watch Jimmy Kimmel every night? Because we feel like we know him. He's leaning on his desk. He's talking with people. That's like his living room. We feel like we know the guy now. We love to watch it. You now have the power to create that same atmosphere through your show. If you do run, let's say you run a comic book shop, why not do your own comic book show? Here's the new releases this month. Here's what's going on in the latest edition of Batman. The storyline's gotten really exciting. Did you realize now there's a whole market of comic book people out there that will eat that up? And they buy their comics online now more than any other place because brick and mortar is gone. So if you're informing them, teaching them in a fun, compelling way with your talking TV show, who are they going to call? Who are they going to buy from? The guy that's giving them good information about comic books. This is where you leverage your expertise. You just happen to do it with more pizzazz and fun and entertainment through the camera lens. And that's how you grow your business now through the power of your own TV show. And you can do an audio podcast off your video show, both ways. So now you have two media elements. You used to pay big money just to get one. Now you have two elements self-produced by you and your team for 1/10 of the cost. This is a money saver and a business grower when you learn how to do this. And anybody in any industry can do this.
Two elements. We're talking about at least 10 because you're going to be able to take out snippets and take the transcript, turn it into a blog article, take
Exactly.
videos, turn it into all kinds of short social media posts, take it and put it into a newsletter. There's so many opportunities. And one of the things we didn't touch on that's super important is I'm seeing and I'm experiencing myself personally other opportunities coming out of being on camera and having a media presence. So I have gotten sponsorship deals. I have gotten influencer deals. I have been published in places, and it's completely one-sided, meaning someone saw something about me, said, "Hey, I think she'd be a good person for this project or this thing." So it's incredible what kind of opportunities come out of this.
Well, look at the comedian Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is everywhere now. He started off on a stage doing stand-up comedy, which he still does. That's his bread and butter. But now he's a pitch man for everything possible. He has become the guy, like you said, they call up, Kevin, can you come do this ad for us? We need a good pitch man. It's the personality, it's the brand, it's the presence, it's the comedic voice. Well, now people have him doing voiceovers for audiobooks. Now, what's a comedian doing a voiceover for an audiobook? Because they've fallen in love with the person of Kevin Hart. He now has a media company. He's producing films. He never, as a kid, dreamed I'd be producing movies for people, taking their stories and helping them bring them to life. This is exactly what you're talking about, the power of media and learning how to show up. But you got to show up right. This is what I'm going back to. You need to stop showing up. Hi. Great to see you, Krista. And you're looking at him like he's a bobblehead. For those of us that remember bobbleheads, if you show up like that way, you're never going to get the Kevin Hart phone call. You're not going to get the offers that Krista's talking about. You're not getting the ones that I talk about. When you show up and know how to be in camera frame, know how to be expressive, know how to look it in the eye and talk to the one person at a time. Right now, we're doing mass media. This is streaming on multiple channels. But the great thing you need to learn is how to communicate. So it sounds like I'm talking to you. You say you. You say I. Thank you for being here today. Did you know? Not hi, y'all. We're glad everyone is joining us. People feel like you just had a cattle call, and people don't come to cattle calls. But they do come
I've
to
been
an
guilty.
call.
I've done that before. And I actually just heard one of my coaches was saying that in his videos, he always starts with hi, friend, because it reminds him not to say y'all or everybody or you guys. And it's one of my weaknesses that I have to overcome. I usually do start off by saying, hey guys, and stuff like that, you know?
Well, and that's why I start my shows every time on Rock the Stage. Thanks for joining us. Sunday night at 7 o'clock. Great for joining us. I'm announcing the time. It's Sunday night. We're doing our show, and I'm glad you're here. I'm opening up the door and welcoming you in. That's like a 30-second quick drop with a smile. It feels like you're literally being welcome. It's like that warm hug. That's raising it very simply in a way that breaks the stiffness of, I'm doing a show, I'm reading a script, I'm really nervous, and everyone in the world knows about it. And that's where you flip into now the personality. And I actually help people figure out what their personality is. No two people's life. Your personality, Krista, I've seen you, I've watched you. You're a little bit more stiffer, more strategic. You're very intentional. I'm kind of more the Energizer Bunny, but people always tell me, God, you are so full of energy. People get done with shows and say, you were up here the whole time, and I loved it because I was up here with you. We don't have to be the same, but you do have to be consistent. When you show up here, it's your brand, it's your message. This is your new stage. So learning how to be the best version of you on camera is so important. Brand consistency is very important. And that's where building out your shows, building out your podcasts, building out your shorts. Yes, tweak them, but what's your main brand presence and style and personality? Everyone's got their own. Kevin Hart's going to pop off. He's going to make some crazy comment. People are going to love it. Now, you're going to have somebody who's doing flowers and roses and they're talking about plants. They're going to be a little bit more elegant. The guy in the comic book shop's probably going to have his baseball hat on backwards, wearing a comic book t-shirt, and he's going to have a bunch of comics behind him. What's your brand and your personality? How do you leverage that as a CEO? You might be a CEO of a Fortune 500 country. Now, you could do in an office. Everyone does the office. What if you did it down on the plant floor? What if you did it where everyone's working and you saw? What if you highlighted the employee of the month and brought them in to talk about what they're doing? Now it's you bragging on your team. Now people are getting interested on your team, your organization, your products, your ethics. This is where we wrap into what's the persona of what you're trying to communicate, and how you do it attracts more people and more people to do you. And then the sales come after that. The business calls come after that.
So true. Trying to sell from a screen is not a good idea. I have noticed from the big podcasters, there's a new trend to ask people to subscribe right up front in the first couple seconds and then not to go to the end anymore. They used to do it at the end, right? They used to wait until the very end of the video.
I don't even
But
do it.
it changes. It
I don't even
changes.
do it because if you watch TV, we're always being compared to TV, like I said earlier. You turn us on, we're thinking of your favorite TV show, your nightly news, your movie, right? Automatically. So I don't even ask for you to subscribe, hit the bell, all that stuff. People have been trained that way. I teach people of your quality of what you do, who you are. That will get them to buy, to click, to stick with you. If you turn into hit the bell, again, and those first 30 seconds, I've heard the script. I've seen them. Hi, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and add a comment today. You're already begging for people before they've seen you in action. Why not show them in action and have them go, that was really good stuff. Maybe I should go check out what else they've got. And it's the curiosity, it's your ability to storytell, to interview, to break down the news, whatever it is you do. It's your ability to shine bright on camera that will bring them back and bring them back. You do not have to beg for anybody to ever follow you.
So I think you brought up a really good point that is underutilized, and that is the power of batch content creation, because you and I are working on a show together and we're talking about producing a certain amount of shows before we go live. Yes. Because instead of saying, subscribe, please, what we can say is while we're talking, we might say, let's say that to this topic is relevant. We're saying body composure or movement, body movements on camera tips. Mm-hmm. watch this video if you want, where we go in depth about this. And then
Yes.
we have a thumbnail that pops up on YouTube that is easy to put up there. YouTube has built everything, made it really easy. And we can say, go watch this related video. And then if they see that there's actually a playlist, that this is a series, and we're like, okay, this is a whole video series, 10 videos all about how to improve your media presence, they're going to sit there and be like, okay, this I don't have time to watch all 10 videos, but I better subscribe because I'm going to lose this channel if I won't remember later. So that's how I think we can get people.
Well, and again, that's a strategy of watching mainstream media. That's an exact strategy of, we went from 24 episodes. Right now, I'm rewatching Hawaii Five-0. 24 episodes every year. It killed the actors, it killed the production, people burned out, injuries happened, but they were a monster cranking out content. Nowadays, you're insane to do 10 episodes. It's 8 to 10 episodes, except for mainstream TVs trying to hang on to it, but they're losing the battle because what you just said. You can upload all 8 episodes and you can binge for a weekend. People love binging on content. The consistency, the storyline, the action, the education. Or you can drop one a week. And here's the trick. And this is what I tell every producer of audio podcasts or streaming TV shows. If you batch it and get 8 to 10 in the can and still drop them one a week, you can relax for 3 to 4 weeks. Most are chasing every episode, every week, every new guest, every new thing, editing, producing, and they're doing what the old TV people did. They burnt out. The average audio podcast, 80% of all audio podcasts do not make it to episode 10. 80%, because it's work, it's energy. I can't keep up. I have no guests this week. Oh, I forgot to edit the darn thing. So if you do it in batches, and again, this is what TV does. Every fall, premiere episodes come out. They have 6 in the can. If it got called up past the pilot, there's 6, nothing more than 6. Watch this fall. Watch what happens. A new show will pop up and they'll promote it and promote it. Right around Thanksgiving, that show's not there. Because 4 weeks before, they either greenlit 6 more or they canceled the series. And it's always at the holidays, they use those as spots to drop the show out and bring in another one that they've got 6 in the bank for. It's the transition where a failed show drops off. Same thing at Christmas. If you bank 8 to 10 shows, you put them up, let people binge, you get the comments, you get the excitement, they'll be hungry for the next ones. Go sit up, interview more people, bank 8 to 10 more again, and it's season 2, and people come back for season 2. Just copy what we see mainstream TV doing on Amazon, on Hulu, on Netflix. Do that for your streaming TV shows, and you will see your followers. You will see your energy go up because you're not chasing and burning out. But you know what, Krista? Most people are still chasing.
Well, that brings me to a thing that probably isn't even on topic here, but your goals. Like, we're talking about media presence, but
Yeah,
before, we talked earlier about who this is for, and we overemphasized, I hope, that everyone should be worried about this. I
everybody.
mean, everyone, and it's daunting, but what we're telling them is you actually don't have to work as hard as you think, because you shouldn't be chasing after every week. What am I going to post? Oh, I have to record another episode. All the top podcasters and video content creators are batch recording their stuff.
Yes.
And a lot of times they're doing it by theme. So they're like, we're going to do a whole series
Yes.
about this.
Yep.
And sometimes it's even like the old TV shows, kind of seasonally timed. Like, we know that
Yes.
people are thinking about certain things. And so we're going to talk about gratitude around Thanksgiving, because in America, that's
Exactly.
the theme, or being generous and taking, holiday spirit and stuff like that, the spirit of giving. So it's actually not as hard as you think. In fact, I find that if you use an editorial calendar, I tell my
Bingo.
clients this,
Bingo.
It's a game changer because instead of laying awake at night being like, "Oh my goodness, my relatives are coming from out of town. They're going to expect me to wine and dine them. How am I possibly going to fit in all this video stuff?" It's like what I do right now, and I want to throw out two versions for people because I want your feedback. There's the first version is the interview style long form where like what we are doing is a show. Like right now we're recording, but could be just guest interviews. That's a show. But then there's also more like a vlog style where there's people who like doing makeup tutorials or I follow a lot of ladies. Okay. I'm a lady. So I follow a lot of ladies and they're doing like fashion. They're showing like
Mhm.
what's the best thing to take on vacation, how to pack my bag. Ladies, we're notorious for bringing huge suitcases with us, right? When we travel. And since I followed all these amazing YouTube tips, I don't have that problem anymore because I learned how to pack a small bag. Unfortunately, about 20 years too late, but that's another story. But my point is, those are the two main, what I would say, axes of media is the interview style or the vlog style. Is there anything else I'm forgetting would you
Well, you
agree
can, I
totally?
mean,
Or
nowadays,
mix?
well, we can do live shows on the road. I know people that their whole show is more of a micro show. Micro shows are really big. You don't have to go 15, 20, 30 minutes. My average show is 35 to 45 minutes. That's my average show for Rock to Stage. But I know people now that are doing 5-minute micro shows, but they're making them in the moment. So they're grabbing their phone and it's more of a travel log. Hey, I'm out today. We're having a good time. And they turn it into a mini show. And they'll
Yep.
talk about the city, the location, the
Got my
food, whatever it is.
selfie stick.
Right. And there's whole shows now that are just like my favorite dining location when I'm on vacation. And they'll do one after another. That's a show. You put that back up and you say, boom, boom, boom. People will follow you from city to city to restaurant to restaurant. And you know what you're doing? You're showing your personality. You're showing that you're trying something new and interesting. You're introducing them to a new city. And when people travel, they're going to go to your show to find the best restaurant because you recommended it.
I
That's
love that.
another new micro show. It's endless creativeness that what you can do. And right now I'm seeing a celebrity that's got her daughter, and the celebrity kind of brands herself as being the TV mom. But it's her daughter that's the star more and more. So she's highlighting being a fun mother with her daughter, showing family relationships, but the daughter is also learning a skill. And people are loving watching the mother-daughter connection. It's endless. And that's where I love sitting down, going back to your question. What do you help them do? What's your purpose? What's your dream? What sort of thing do you envision? And most of them have no idea what they really envision. They have an idea. So now I get to play with word pictures and help them see how does it look? How does it sound? What sort of energy? Tell me your personality. And then we begin to play with these things. And we start playing with a camera and practicing. And then all of a sudden, a light bulb goes in. And it usually goes something like this. You mean I can do that? I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know I was allowed to do. I'm like, this is your creation. You can do anything you want. CEOs, you can get other CEOs and do a roundtable and talk about industry struggles. You can get around and talk about the economic woes, the financial woes, the marketing changes. Restaurant people, you're all struggling right now. Why not have a restaurant show? Talk about what we're pivoting, what we're trying over here, and someone across the world or nation is going to say, we tried that, didn't work over here. In fact, I do a show every year. I co-produce and co-host. It's the International Hospitality Day show. We go around the world to talk to hospitality leaders that help people come into their nation, come into their cities. We did an episode during the war in Ukraine, an interview with a gal who was live on the air, and the air raid sirens went off during it because she's in the war zone. And she's running hospitality, greeting people and feeding people in her hostel. Who would have ever thought we would be able to do that from our home studios?
Crazy.
The power of going global and being in that moment. And we particularly picked Ukraine because of the war. We found somebody. So we're talking about an international incident. We're We're talking about women's hospitality, women leadership. And we're talking about in the moment, how do you handle this? The ideas are endless. And this is where I have fun opening up your dream box and hoping you come up with a show that you never knew you could have.
I love that. I love that, Rich. And we forgot one more. When I said
Okay.
interviews and vlogs, and you added the travel thing, we forgot trainings. Because when we talk about on camera, you have to realize that some of the folks watching this video are thinking, when do I really have to be on camera? I'm not going to start a vlog, may or may not start a show, but so it could be daunting. But one place where they always need media is they
Yes.
have to show up and do some kind of presentations. So I said trainings, but I would say trainings/presentations, because if you come to any level of leadership, and even at a young age, like my 23-year-old son, he has to do pitches all the time where he has to show his slides, he has to be on camera, he has to present, um, and he has to convince people. But more importantly, he has to make it entertaining, because the last thing you want is that person has to watch you because it's a work thing, but they're bored out of their mind. They're like, this is the call. I'm scrolling my phone under the table, waiting for the time to go by.
So,
That's the worst.
well, no, and those training instructional, whether they're a corporate meeting together and we're all trying to learn something new, a new product, a new service, when you come in to do that, I really encourage people spend the time and create your business backdrop. This is your free billboard. It speaks for you without you saying a word. Believe me, this is gold. This is magic. You can have a logo, you can have an email, you can have a call to action button, you can have whatever you want. But if you're in your office, standing up at your desk or sitting at your desk, everybody does that. And right away, you're already tuning people out. You want to go, this is different. They're prepared. This is quality. So if you do something that has more pop and sizzle, as I say, people automatically notice this may be a little bit different today.
The setup, it should be good.
The setup should be really good. And then stand up. Believe me, standing up for these presentations, the office training, the corporate meeting, CEOs, I'm begging you, get out of your chair, stand up, because what you get now is you get a physical action. During the pandemic, I worked with keynote speakers, and they were trying to learn Zoom and trying to learn how to communicate. The number one complaint was, it's boring. I don't see anybody, and I have no idea what to do with my hands. Number one. So I'm like, okay, I said, this is your new stage. CEOs, this is your new stage. You can communicate, lead, challenge, encourage through all those corporate meetings. Stand up. Learn how to keep your hands in frame, but you need to learn how to use what I call, here, Krista, do this with me. Put out your arms like ducks. You got duck wings. Now, fold your duck wings down. And now your hands move in and out, side to side, because if you do it too far, no one cares what your hands are doing out here. Nobody cares about this. Or, and you mentioned this last week, you have the crazy guy that's flapping his arms. I mean, you're going down the highway. You see the little balloon guy at the parking lot?
Yeah.
You don't want to be the parking lot balloon guy. And you don't want to be the stoic. But you do want to command this stage in a way that you learn how to move in, how to move out, how to go side to side. And it is a different technique because you're on TV. Believe me, I've seen the rooms change from speaker to speaker. I've seen the one sitting down. I've seen the one standing up, what I'm talking about. I did a presentation. Everyone else sat. I did not know anyone in the group. I was asked to come and speak. As soon as I got done, my phone rang. And the first thing they said was, we're booking you to come back. And the number one reason is you stood up and you were totally different than everybody else.
The energy.
This stuff works.
Rich, you're going to be proud of me because you actually are the person to thank for two things that I've recently implemented. Number one is, after having so much internet connectivity with putting a green screen
Yes.
background, what I actually have done is I have ordered a branded pop-up tubular backdrop that's a canvas that wasn't cheap, my friend, okay? But the beauty of it is it folds down almost into like a gym bag.
Yes.
So and it's I think it's 5 by 7, so it's going to be a big baby. But then I won't have any, it won't be impacted, but it will definitely stand out. It will pop. It has a lot of color in it. It's very beautiful. That's thanks to you, because I really thought it over about what you said about the backdrop. And the other thing I've done is I've purchased a newer webcam. So this Logitech webcam that I had, it's one that I bought as an emergency during the pandemic. And I thought it was not the cheapest one, but now I thought it's time for an upgrade. It's 2024 at the time of this. So I just got the latest Logitech one, and it has a built-in ring light behind it.
See, this is all technology enhances. We did not have the beginning of the pandemic. They're now creating stuff to help us do our job easier. Now, I always tell this story because this is a live stream. We're on multiple channels right now. I've been in radio, TV, media all my life, 35 years as a professional broadcaster. I know things you do not. That's why I coach and help people do what I do, because they want to do this. But if I had Restream, when I was 23 years old, my universe would be even bigger than what it is, because being able to live stream on multiple channels, you are now creating your own media empire. The idea is you want to be everywhere you can, but why not be everywhere you can at one moment? And then, like Krista said, leverage the replays, get the sound bites, do the replays. But if we're on multiple channels right now, this is where now it's the old days of you turn the channels. Whenever the tornado came through Indiana, you turn the channels, everyone's telling you about the tornado. You could not ignore the tornado. Now with this power of Restream, you literally can field questions. We've had names and comments pop up during this. You can do polls. You can make this so interactive and be everywhere at once. Instead of reproducing and jumping back on a different channel and jumping on, that would wear you out. But by having the power of Restream, you are now everywhere. And they just go to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever you have them go, to YouTube, and you're there. And again, the money savings of this versus old school advertising, you need to learn to leverage this. You need to learn. It will save you money, time, and it will elevate you and your brand. Because as you talked about earlier this last week during our 3-day event, you are the brand. And you need to show up as the brand, fully packed, fully loaded with everything you can in your utility belt, and people will respond. And this is one of the newest, greatest game changers of every corporate, every business. I know a guy that does fleet cars. His thing is he manages fleet cars for other people. That sounds pretty boring. We did his book launch. He became an author. We did a book launch, virtual book launch. You know what happened? People began to call about his fleet cars because he did a book launch about fleet cars, but we did it here.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you leverage this to get him to go exactly where you want, because you're the brand. And he's the fleet car expert.
So some people might be listening to this and saying, that all sounds nice, but that's not me. I'm quiet. I'm boring. I'm not Kevin Hart. So some of this might actually have the opposite effect, to intimidate them and say, okay, I'm never going to get on camera after listening to this, because now I'm going to have to be like Kevin Hart, or I'm going to have to
So I've got a
learn how to
solution for
manage
that.
my hand movement. And it's intimidating,
So I've got an easy solution for that. Number one, you do not have to be that face and that brand, that voice. Find someone on your team. You probably have someone that loves doing this. You probably have a son or a daughter. You probably have someone that's already videotaping stuff. You don't even know they're videotaping you at work. They're doing this all the time. Find that person and say, you know what? I have a new role for you. I want you to be our video spokesman for our organization. More and more companies are doing this. We used to have a public spokesman, police, fire, law enforcement. Always had these spokesmen. They're now doing it here. What if your company found the right person, put them in the right place, and said, we're going to give you the tools. I know an insurance agency that I work with. They literally built their own studio. They trained everyone to be more productive on camera with my coaching. And they called me up, and the CEO said, Rich, I made the studio too small because now they're doing training videos, they're doing live feeds, and they're doing interviews. And that was not a part of our plan. And he does not host the shows, his team does. So find the right people and take that fear factor out. That's a great point you're talking about. You do not have to be that person. So find the right person and use the tools that you can with the right people doing it. Some people hire me. I love coming in and being the pitch person, be the voice, be the interview. It's great, but I love it better when I can help you find the right person on your team.
Well, in the old days, I mean, if you look at radio stations, they always had a radio host, and so it's not like the CEO of the radio station was trying to
No,
run the show.
no.
So everyone has to work with their strengths. But with that said, I think even the people who are thinking, oh, I could never really do what we're talking about today, I really do think that they need to have a minimum media training.
Yes.
As the marketing CMO here, PR, reputation. I always tell my clients there's two jobs that a good marketer has, and that is building your brand into a personality. Like, so I attach feelings when I think of
Yes.
Windex or Clorox, or I'm trying to find some boring brands because it's like, well, we know those brands, right? Because a marketer was doing something to make sure you heard that name and remembered it. That's the number one thing. But the other thing we do is PR and reputation management. And what that means is doesn't make a fool out of himself or herself on a big stage. Or what if the journalist has some questions and we're like, oh, we're going to send in our CEO or CMO, or anyone who is in a leadership or representing the company needs to have some media training. Because as you probably know, Rich, just last week, there was a huge scandal at a commencement speech at a university, and a very well-known athletic player said some things that went viral for all the wrong reasons.
Yes. Yes.
And his employer had to go out and, of course, send their PR damage control people and make a public statement that we are not behind that opinion.
Yes.
This was his personal opinion. And someone else went online and said, all of the players get media training, but apparently he might have been absent that day. Maybe Rich, you should call him up. She'd be like, I heard what happened. I'm here to help.
So let me tell you something on that. Let me interject here, because this is a truth that you all need to come. Every one of us needs to accept this new truth. You're already on camera, whether you know it or not. Someone's got a Ring camera on their home. Every car lot, every school has a camera when you walk in and walk out. Every business has a lobby camera. You're on camera whether you know it or not. That's a new truth of where we live.
People whip out their phones and film all kinds of things.
Right.
All kinds of things.
You
can never take that back.
Every car accident, every home every home run during the Little League game, it's all cameras. So here's a choice you have. Really simple. You can leverage media and use the camera to your good, or someone else will. Someone will grab that soundbite. You're going to accidentally say it off the cuff, and someone's going to be videotaping, and they're going to catch it. And whether you like it or not, they're going to make a post out of it. It may not be targeted at you, but it will be about you and about the statement, and it will impact. And those are the videos that go viral. Celebrities say something off the cuff and the microphone was left open. Boom. You're on camera now. Do you want to leverage it to your business? Do you learn how to do it? Like you just said, Krista, have better media training. So when it does come, you're ready, you're prepared, you're smooth. There are a lot of athletes. I watch a lot of sports, and I hear a lot of comments from friends and family. You need to help them. Because
especially considering they're young, they're not very worldly yet, and suddenly they become celebrities overnight. I mean, they don't have the maturity, they don't have the world experience. A lot of them come from small towns. Maybe they've never been out of their home state before this happened. And of course, the reporters thrust those microphones in their face and ask them questions. So we
So
have
this
to be
is
very careful about
so
what we
this is
say.
where I get into a particular area of media training. I want to make sure we squeeze this in here today. You need to talk in sound bites without talking in sound bites. The best sound bites are, and again, I'm not a big political pusher. I'm not pushing a politician, but listen to politicians. They're being interviewed. They're being talking. They're doing something. They have pre-planned sound bites that they have studied and practiced. They know that will get the reaction they want. But it doesn't sound like they planned it. It just rolls off their tongue in the middle of the speech, and everyone goes, "Oh, wow, that was a genius." Some scriptwriter wrote that for the president. Some scriptwriter wrote that for that senator. And they knew at the right moment they could just slide it in. And then it gets turned into a TikTok. It gets turned into a real short. It gets turned into that thing. If you're wanting to get into this media space of producing a show, streaming a show, creating your own podcast, you need to learn how to talk in sound bites, but not make it sound like you need to practice being interviewed. And when someone says, "Hey, Rich, why do you do what you do? What's your specialty?" I help people with media training. I help them shine on camera, shine on stage, to elevate their brand. That's kind of what I do. Now, I've said that a bazillion times, Krista, but most people go, "Holy cow, where'd that come from?" Because he wasn't talking about that. It just rolls into it. That's a new thing that you learn how to leverage media by media training, but those sound bites will get you the phone call. Those sound bites will get you on the next podcast. You're going to learn how to do this better by the more repetition. Believe me, if you saw the early stuff of me back in my college days interviewing people, you would laugh because I do. This is where you grow, you practice, you get coaches, and the best people, we've all heard this, the best coaches have coaches. The best athletes have coaches. Tiger Woods still has a coach. If you want to make it and leverage media, this is where it's a foreign business to most people. That's no fault of your own. That's the truth. You run a business. You're not an actor. You're not a radio personality. This is new to you. Find and seek the help you need to help you achieve the goals you want.
We need to make a course for you, Rich, because this is very, I want to say that everyone needs this. Running my From Zero to Six Academy since 2021, one of the first things I try to do when we get on our Zoom calls is say, "Tell me what you do, why you do it, and who you do it for."
Your elevator pitch.
You have no idea. It's almost like deer in the headlights. Like, from all the people on the call, I see people like buying time. They're like, "I hope that there's enough people that go before me so I don't have to, I have time to think of this over." That's how bad it is. People are not prepared to answer that question. And when they do, they might overthink it and say something that sounds way too fluffy and complicated and using acronyms and big words. And I'm like, I don't even know what he said. I can't, how can I hire you if I don't know what you do?
So that's a great example. You go to your networking meeting, you go around the room, everyone gets their 30, 60 seconds, whatever it is, to do their elevator pitch. Now, take what I told you earlier. If you have a branded backdrop, like you just described, as you're saying it, they're seeing it. So now you're engaging the visual, the audio. Then you begin to learn how to drop that little one line, that one little catchphrase. Now you're getting their heart pumping because they look good, they sound good, and it's crisp and clear. People will see that and they'll compare automatically, whether you like it or not. They'll compare you to the other one that you're describing, still making it up on the fly. This is your new playground. Learn
So the
how to play this.
surroundings, that's a wonderful thing, but I think we didn't talk about, I think that we spoke about this with one of our other speakers. I think about your presentation as well as a person
Yes.
to show up. Like, I've personally, you can see I try to wear some color contrast because it will draw your eye towards me. If I wore something that was brown and I have a brown wall behind me, I have a brown sweater that I could have worn. It would be terrible with my
No,
hair
I
and
wouldn't have let you wear it. I would have
you
said,
would
go
be like,
change.
"What are you wearing, a camel sweater with your backdrop and your hair color?" It would just blend, blend, blend.
So let
So
me talk about that
that's what I
because,
wanted to ask you about. Yeah.
yeah. So there are several big keys and there are color palettes that are better from TV. This teal, I have several different shirts similar to this, different colors that are made really good for video for TV. Salads work really well. So stick with salads. People want to see, we often want to over pop. So we think the crazy shirt's going to over pop. The camera scans and does scan lines. If it has too much colors, the scan lines literally don't pick up as well. You're already hurting the video by looking like you're wearing one of those Daffy Duck shirts with different comic heads
You don't want
popping
my
over it.
leopard you don't want my leopard print?
No,
I was
I
about to
don't
wear
want the
that. I
leopard
was
print.
thinking I gotta wear my fluffy leopard sweater.
But the black and the gold, great contrast. Again, that's what you want to do. For people that wear glasses, some people are wearing fake glasses now just to be pop and cool. Put a little rim color, just a little accent on you. Those are really working. For women, I tell them all the time, don't wear the dangly earrings and don't wear the long bracelets because they're going to clang with a microphone. You are going to make extra noise and you want to be the center of attention. You want to be the main voice. However, for women, you want to add a little pop to your color, get a brooch, get something that reflects a little bit of light and will help automatically grab the light that's shining on you and give you a little extra pop here. And you know what? Whether you like it or not, guys like seeing a good neckline on a lady. They do. So the necklace does that sort of stuff.
But please, no too deep neckline because I've coached a few people and they're like, "Krista, I'm so happy because you told me for the PR that you need photos of me and you need video of me." And they come back and I'm like,
Oh, yeah,
for
no, the chest plate
I'm
thing,
like,
no. I mean, the
"What are
whole
we
big,
talking for
oh,
videos and photos for what?" Because this doesn't look like it's gonna get you clients. It looks like it's gonna attract a different type of attention.
right. And this is where, going back to what I said earlier, know your brand, your personality. When I was doing sports talk, play-by-play interviews, it was sports jerseys. And they were given to me by teams I interviewed and I traveled with. So part of the mystique was he's a sports guy. He looks like a sports guy. He sounds like a sports guy. He's a sports guy. Part of you have to figure out what you are, what you want to present, and have it fit. There are color schemes. There are things that work for you. But that's part of designing your brand message. When people turn on anything I'm on, you will see a TV type of studio behind me. And I don't have to say a word. They know I'm a TV guy. That's the power of knowing your brand, designing your brand, and having the colors and the clothes to match. Some people say it's a costume. Maybe it's a costume. Okay, own it. But your costume serving the purpose to let people know who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
What can people do, because we're almost out of time now, to improve their speaking skills on their own?
Oh,
Because obviously getting help is the best solution, but maybe could they watch TED Talks and kind of understand, observe and analyze what people are doing, or watch TV shows and look how the moderators are interacting and how they move? Like, would you have any of that advice
I'm going
maybe?
to give you two of the simplest tips you ever heard in your life. Record yourself and watch yourself. Record yourself and watch yourself. Now, real briefly, I live with a lifelong stutter. This is National Stutter Awareness Month. I've been talking about this on many of my videos.
I saw in
I,
one of your videos about this over on LinkedIn. Mhm.
I had to learn. The information I had here wanted to get out so fast because I was so excited to share some good nuggets as a kid that my mouth and my brain could not keep up the same speed. I had to learn how to bring those into a balance of information output and what it would sound like. And that's part of what my broadcast voice became. I learned how to do that. So it's solid, it's firm, it's crisp, it's clear. And that's some of the things by watching your own tape. Growing up, listening to your audio tape in broadcasting school was like chalkboard. Remember that little sound on the chalkboard? Hearing your voice is the worst thing in the world. But if you listen to it, get a family member, get a friend, get a colleague, that will help you realize your mannerisms, little tweaks, little things, and you can improve yourself at no expense by recording and reviewing. Yes, you can watch other people. You can watch, but they've got their own tricks. They've got their own thing. But if you want to do it, just down and dirty, watch yourself, and you will learn your pace, your speed. Most people talk too fast. Most people trip over certain letters or vowels. Most people have an S that slurs. There's ways with a sound mic and different techniques you can do that, but you can also learn and listen so you know when to slow down, when to do that little pause, so everyone hears that crisp word. That's just repetition. Does that make sense?
It really does, and I wanna say that that probably is the best advice I've heard because I think that when you see yourself, you automatically understand because you turn from the speaker to the viewer, and then you can't lie. You have to say, "Well, there were some things I could improve." And maybe find a buddy to critique you too would be
Yeah.
interesting because sometimes we don't we're so used to our mannerisms that it's only when someone else points them out. Did you know that you always say, or um? You've said it really does help to have a podcast too. If you can do a podcast, because doing that, your
Yep.
editor is going to quickly point out all the things that you do that you
Mhm.
need to improve.
Let me say one thing before we wrap up here today. Of everything we said, one of the best things about being able to leverage media for your company, for your business, you get to have fun. Don't turn this into a painstaking, boring, I have to do it. I have more fun every day than anyone should ever have because I get to do what I love to do. Have fun with this, and that's part of the personality that people will fall in love with. They'll fall in love with the fact because, man, he or she is a character. You know what you do. I love your smile. We haven't even talked about the power of smile, but they'll see your energy and your fun, and that will make all the difference right there too. So you're going to wind this down? You're going to wrap us up? This is your show. I'm just a guest.
Well, if I can unmute myself, talk about awkward host. You've been a great guest today, Rich. We are definitely going to talk about where we can find you. I'll put all your details in the show notes
Here's
and
my
make sure.
LinkedIn. Go find me on
Oh,
LinkedIn.
perfect,
Go find me
perfect.
on LinkedIn. Go find
Go
me.
go find him on LinkedIn. He produces amazing content, and I've personally worked with Rich, so I can vouch for it. So if anyone is doubting, you should reach out to me. I also think we got to get you a course because, man, so many people need your help, and this isn't going to go away. This is the new reality. People are just trying to buy their time and avoid it, but they're not going to be able to because we all are the media now.
You are your own media brand empire. You're your own Kevin Hart.
There you go. So thank you again, Rich. And this has been amazing for people who are watching. I'm going to wrap this up. And I want to say that we have had an amazing 4 days now because this was our fourth bonus day of the 3x3 Business Challenge. So if you aren't familiar with that, you'll see the little logo there, 3x3 Challenge. And you can always find out more information at From Zero to Six Academy. um, Go to my LinkedIn profile, click on that link. You'll be taken there immediately. We do these challenges a couple of times a year. And this challenge, particularly, was amazing because we asked for some donations for the Multiple Sclerosis Society. So, for a good cause. And we had some incredible guests who have taught as much as they know about how to grow a business with different strategies. So we had LinkedIn strategy, we had virtual event strategy, public speaking, and now media skills. And so today, this has been an amazing 4 days. I hope to see everyone soon. And I really hope that if you didn't get a chance, that you will consider donating to the MS Society directly. There's the link right there. And that we can hang out more. So thank you again to our wonderful guest, Rich. And you got to follow him for more media tips because it's not going to go away. We're going to all have to become our own media brand.